Meanwhile, Libyan human rights organizations and regional activists are worried about the humanitarian situation in the country. The United Nations claims that rival militia who have been fighting in Tripoli for the past week have agreed on a ceasefire. But the Arab Organization for Human Rights describes the situation as catastrophic. CGTN's Adnen Chaouachi has more.
The Arab Human Rights League in Libya has warned against the escalation of the armed conflict in the North African state and its negative impact on the population.
Rival armed groups that have been fighting in Tripoli plunged the city and the country into chaos. At least 47 people have been killed and 1,800 families internally displaced by the violence.
Activists say that the humanitarian situation is disastrous in Libya's capital, Tripoli, and several regions across the North African state.
All Libyans, especially women, children and the elderly, are paying a heavy price. Food and medicine are not available in some neighborhoods, while medical assistance, water, electricity and other services have become rare in Tripoli and other cities.
Experts have called for the immediate intervention of Libya's powerful tribal leaders and public figures in order to ease tension between rival groups.
The situation is very dangerous in Libya. We expect it to explode if Libyans do not mediate between the armed groups. The bloodshed will continue and no one will be spared.
This week, Tunisia commended the ceasefire agreement near Tripoli, the Libyan capital, signed under the aegis of UN Special Envoy to Libya Ghassan Salameh. This agreement came to end the violent clashes in the Libyan capital since August 26th. Security experts assert that fear and skepticism abound in Tunisia and Libya because the armed conflict in Tripoli could escalate at any time and destabilize the whole region. Tunisia hopes that the new agreement succeeds in restoring peace and protecting citizens and their property while avoiding bloodshed between Libyans. Adnen Chaouachi, CGTN, Tunis.
Well, for more on this situation, we're joined by CGTN's Yasser Hakim, who is in Cairo for us. What is the significance of the reopening of the main airport in Tripoli to both Libya and the wider region?
Yes, it's an important improvement in the process there. Obviously, this is the main airport, if not the only airport in the capital, and therefore, when it was closed, there was no alternative except a small military airport for emergency cases. But it means that without an airport, the country is cut off from the world, whether for any humanitarian aid or help or political discussions or meetings by officials and politicians, and obviously trade and so forth has been cut off. So opening it back sends a message that there is now some improvement in the security situation in Libya, and that also it is open to the world and to the wider region. It shows that there could be some kind of hope that we would see a better and more stable and secure Libya in the future.
So some improvement and hope there. What's the status of Libya's peace process, and will planned elections go ahead as scheduled?
Well, obviously it's a very complicated situation. There is, like I said, hope that maybe the elections will go ahead as planned by the end of 2018 in December. Obviously, the main powers in Libya have agreed on the elections, such as Fayez al-Sarraj, the head of the Presidential Council, and his main rival, Khalifa Haftar, and the parliament. They are the main two rivals in the political rivals in Libya, along with other powers, have agreed on the elections. However, the complicated situation in Libya is about having dozens or tens of militias, and they are armed militias that control areas of the country or even areas of the cities. And they are the ones that might fear that they would lose power and they would lose any kind of control once there is a democratic process in line. Once there are elections, obviously the main issue would be to disarm these militias and create a unified army. And some of these militias do not want to lose their control, do not want to lose their power that has been there for the last few years. And therefore, you would find such skirmishes and clashes, just like what happened in the last 10 days with more than 60 people dead in Libya, mainly civilians, because some of these militias have been fighting against the government forces because they felt that as elections come close, they would be losing their powers at the same time. Now, the problem is that Faiz Sarraj and the Presidential Council have tried to appease these militias in order to get the peace process on track. By what? By creating allies from these militias. So, for example, the police force includes some militias as part of the police force who are allies to the government in Tripoli. However, once there is some political differences, these militias would turn against the police force that they are part of, or against the government that they are allies to, because of their own benefits. On the other side, Khalifa Haftar's army is one that is fighting militias, and he said he wants to create a national army without any militias inside, and that's why the militias are fighting him. So we're talking about 3 or 4 powers trying to work out a way forward for Libya. You've got ones who are approving a peace process and democracy and elections with the support of the UN and regional powers. And then you've got the militias that need control and could sabotage the elections and lead to postponing or cutting off the elections when we're close, because I expect more clashes to happen once the elections are closer. And the best way is to try to control these militias to guarantee free, safe and fair elections in Libya in December.
And yes, finally, the former president has just been given another jail sentence. What more can you tell us about that?
Yes, that's in Egypt. It's a court case about Rab'a, the sit-in that was by the outlawed Muslim Brotherhood during the 2013 uprising, in which the members of the outlawed Muslim Brotherhood were accused of being armed, not a peaceful demonstrations, and obviously for killings. As there have been hundreds accused, and the numbers that about 75 have been had taken the death penalty, and then there are hundreds of others who have ranges from 15 to 5 years of prison jail term. One of them is the son of former and ousted Egyptian President Mohamed Morsi, who is also in jail right now. His son Osama has received a 10-year jail sentence today. But I have to say that this is only one division of the case. There is still an appeal opportunity for appeals, and we might see different terms or sentences in the future. So this is not a final. It is a confirmed, but not a final court ruling, because the defendants have the right to appeal at the moment.
Okay, yes, Hakim in Cairo, thank you for that update.